Hey now, everybody. Hey, thanks for joining us tonight. This is something off the beat track for this site with a short interview we're going to do with the creator of a token. The token was is the Yep token. Some of you who were involved in the Solid Index probably already know about it. It's a token that was inspired, I believe, by the Nope token. And we're going to bring the creator on here and just go through some Q&A and get some background from Bright Light 57 on what his plans were and how he got involved in all this. And we'll bring him on up to say hello. Kind of an introduction. He has his own channel out there and just getting started in streaming. So we wanted to talk about the Yep token. So without any further ado.
How we doing?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Hey, thanks for making the time to do this. I mean, I know we talked about it like, I don't know, it was 3 weeks ago, and I've been super busy with some stuff, and then we finally got it together. And I got my crap together, and here we are.
Yeah, I've been pretty busy myself. Me and my wife are doing a garden at home, and got kids, everything else in the way, and coast to coast time.
Oh yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah, hey, you do a little bit of gardening. Do you? Like
I'm learning. She's more of the green thumb than me, definitely. Yeah, but our garden's definitely growing this year. So,
veggies or no veggies?
Veggie. We're doing peas. We're doing squash. We're doing arugula, some spinach, some lettuce. We're doing cucumbers. We got some tomato starts going. And we got some sunflowers growing, and we're probably going to add more to it. So,
oh damn, you guys are going all out.
Definitely.
So I'm over here on the East Coast, right? And it's May 1st, and usually after May 1st, it's safe to start doing some planting. We just had frost a couple weeks ago, but last year I did peppers, but those peppers I didn't grow them from scratch, from seed. I bought the plants, and then they were giving fruit all the way into September, and maybe a little bit beyond that. And I was like, I just feel bad killing these things, right, and plowing them under. And I'd never looked into it before, but there's something called overwintering, and I overwintered my my pepper plants. So I got 4 pepper plants because it gets cold here in the winter, right? So I overwintered them, saved them, basically cut them back, pruned them way back, and starved them of water, over the winter. So I got these 4 big plants. I'm getting ready to put them outside and see if I can get some fruit, see if I can get some peppers this year.
Yeah, we've been having problems with rodents stealing our starts on our peas right now. So we're like dealing with that, but they're not touching anything else, which is weird. But
little pea scammers, huh?
Right. Yeah, we got. They're just stealing our peas.
Just hacking. All right. Well, let's get to the crypto, man. Hey, thanks for joining. I was saying in the intro, you created the Yep token, but why don't you go ahead and give us a little bit of background on you? When did you get involved with Pulsechain? How did you get involved? And some of that backstory.
Well, in 2017, I got initially into Bitcoin, and I was just playing on exchanges, things like that. And then, like 21 rolls, like 2018, I'm out. I make my double. I'm out. I'm thinking, oh, the rest is a scam. I get scammed in like Davor coin once after I make my double, and I'm just like, I left it. So I came back in 2019, remembering that I heard about Richard Hart, and I wanted to get back into it. It's got to be something more to it than that if people are sticking around. So I started researching it. I just hung out on exchanges, did the whole trading thing, the leverage thing, everything like that. And I started watching videos of Richard Hart while I was on like Chronos. Started going into that. That kind of like gave me like a big DeFi, like learning how to do LP, things like that, which is kind of funny, the very, very simple finance kind of thing over there. And then I heard about Pulsechain and Hex, things like that more and more it's like all in one. Like I crammed this like while I was at work, just listening to stream after stream after stream, and it was a lot to take in, but I took it in. I absorbed it after a while, and then I staked Hex. I unstaked Hex. It did like a short stake on like a hot wallet someplace, and I'm like, okay, this works because I still. Is it a scam? Is it not a scam? I'm like, well, this is the real stuff. And then I started learning the history of it, watching Richard streams more. I mean, I probably could have got into Hex at the beginning if I paid attention and just didn't walk away. But
sure. Yeah.
then I came to this big realization watching Richard streams like, wow, this is crypto. I learned the not your keys, not your coins thing. Things like that. I learned how to move it off exchanges, did DeFi, things like that. And then Kronos went down while the Pulsechain thing, sacrifice was kind of going on. I sacked for that. This is after my Hex stake. And I bought some Hex, sacrificed all that to Pulsechain, and then realized I didn't do enough when Pulsex came about, and I sacrificed more for that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I was already taking profits by then. So I took profits, put it in my house, things like that. And then I started researching more, learning the community, watching community streams, things like that. And then I really took it in. And that's when I kind of like fell in love with it. It was kind of my passion. It's starting to become my passion. And that's one of the reasons why I joined the no permissions and kind of stayed in the background, because I wasn't really doing much on Twitter.
Sure. Well,
and I felt way more
no permissions is what that's Randy's group, right? Randy Hilarski's group.
Yeah.
When you bring that up, hey, it actually sounds like you did pretty well for yourself in crypto, because I know lots of people went through 17 and they didn't come out with a double. A lot of people didn't take profits. And then, of course, even when you're talking about 21, same type of thing, right? I mean, not everybody has that in the forefront of their mind to make sure that they take profits and pay themselves.
The only thing I wish I would have done differently is held in stable coins and watched it drop more, and then bought back in when Hex was at 3 cents. But I bought in like mainly most of it was like right around that 20-cent mark. And I put like a good chunk of change in, and I just wrote it down right after the fake Pulsechain launch, I call it.
Yeah.
Sell and may walk away kind of event. And that's when I learned like, okay, this is for real. I'm just going to write it out. Let's learn what I can. And then I learned from you doing the T-share stuff, and now it all clicked for me. I'm like, the T-share is where the value's at.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, of course, I feel pretty strongly about that. I'm talking about it all the time, every week. So you're sitting in that no permissions chat, and you're following Randy Hilarski. Did you have that in mind before the Nope token, or did that come after the Nope token launch?
Came after. It definitely came after.
Go ahead.
He was streaming about Nope token, and he was launching it, this and that. And right around like a week, maybe 2 weeks after he launched it, I think it was early December, mid-December, he launched it. And I thought about like, there's got to be like the opposite of Nope. I knew what Nope meant for him, no permissions, his group, no permissions. But I'm like thinking, well, it's got to be like an agreeable meme token. What is like yep? Well, you say yep when you agree with people, so it's kind of more like an agreeable meme, and you just like. And then I looked into it more, and it's like you form good bonds with people that view the same things the same way, and that kind of forms the agreeable meme, or the Jedi mind trick, I call it, of agreeance. And that's kind of how it formed for me. I almost didn't launch it because I didn't know if I wanted to make that commitment. But then I did. I didn't tell the no permissions about it, and I just airdropped it to him.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Well, I was part of no permissions during that period of time, right from the beginning, and then all of a sudden, this Yep token showed up in my wallet. So is that something? So did you distribute it primarily to the Nope token holders, or how did that go?
primarily, I distributed to the Nope token holders of 100K and above. I just went on chain and got the list and just I put it in their wallets before I even bonded liquidity and everything. I tried to make that Richard Hart play. And I think it kind of hurt the launch a little bit in a ways. I've learned from that. And it was kind of interesting.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
other than that, I wanted everybody to have it right from the get. And so I launched it. And then later on, I decided to try to go to the HOA crowd, and I gave the 69 420 holders the same amount and gave it to them. And I was trying to like bridge the gap between the two communities, and then you live and you learn kind of thing. But
Sure,
I
sure.
love the things they're doing with the NFTs, things like that. Don't get me wrong, but it's like there's a lot of drama lately between the two. The
Mhm.
9 inch crowd and the 9 millimeter crowd lately. So it's been kind of hard to bridge the gap.
Yeah, yeah. We don't need to go into all that, but yeah, I think we'd have to be blind not to see that going on out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you have this token, you distribute it not only to note holders, but sounds like to some of the, some of the, Tang Gang holders out there as well. And so then, so what's been your experience so far? It's kind of crazy, right? So this is not some. This is all grassroots. This is you sending out tokens to people. No, no claim, no sacrifice, no purchase, anything of that up front. So then, what did you do next, and what did you start looking at? I mean, you had to go for an LP at some point, right? So, how did you start working on that type of stuff?
Well, me and Randy talked in the initial part. He said he would support me. So he supported me with the Nope LP with Yep. And I think he was like 10% of the LP at the time. I'm still doing most of the rest, you know what I mean? But he's
Yeah.
adding more and adding more now, but which was awesome. That's why he said he would buy some of the supply, and he pretty much got this some of the supply. That's why he's mainly one of the biggest holders, because he's supporting Yep. And I wanted to do that to also say, hey, I'm not here to just like exit and just like, you know, make a project that everybody's just not going to believe in. And I wanted to bootstrap it and just build something with my bags and show that maybe the average dude could lead the way also with some help of some bigger holders.
Not much. And so, what do you think? How do you? I mean, I think I have a grip on it. What you're saying, but how would you really succinctly? How would you like define your token? I mean, are you trying to bring awareness that the Jedi mind trick is something everybody can use? Meaning stay positive and say yes to opportunity. What do you think your motto is?
Like my motto kind of is like stay agreeable, especially with those that you agree with. Like if you're trying to build a community, stay agreeable with your community. Like we as Pulsechain are a community, so all these subgroups need to come together and push it up into into adoption, so to say. I'm not the best with words, but so yeah. Anyways,
Well, I
that's
think I don't know, man. I'm kind of old
I
school.
guess you can get it from there. I'm not like
Yeah. Well, I like I'll use the old 80s and 90s stuff on there. I always used to talk about, 1 + 1 = 3 and that kind of stuff, because when people work together, you tend to get much better outcomes than when people work against. That's been always a big lesson. I think maybe that's part of what you're saying. Um, I like
Yeah,
to,
stop the infighting in order, like
yeah,
between and the scam calling or you dumped on my head. I wanted to like try to stop that and breed some positivity and go, okay, yeah, we could make it if
yeah,
we did this together.
that's not, yeah, let's just say, yeah.
Yeah.
Just say, yeah. Yeah,
So,
you know,
yeah, very agreeable.
yeah, I can see that, man. I talk a lot about something called abundance mentality. This whole idea, there's enough for everybody in the world, man. I mean, we're just such a small part of the world to start with. We might think we're a big part of it, and maybe we're like big fish in the little pond, but it's just so much more enjoyable for me. I think maybe for many other people, just have that abundance mentality. You can win, and I can win, man. There's no reason. That's how I view things. And sometimes I forget I'm a human.
Yeah,
But I
we're
mean
all
that's
human. We can all win together.
yeah, and I
Even if
and
somebody's winning more than you at that moment, you're still winning right along with them, even though
that's
it
right.
doesn't seem like it at that time.
Yeah, 100%. Hey, but that being said, the other part of reality in life maybe is, yeah, you're not going to get everybody to agree with you.
Yeah.
You're doing pretty good to get 51%. If more than half the people don't, are on your side and support you, you're doing really good. So, just understanding the world is the world. People have different, they got different origin stories. They got different stuff going on. Everybody's not going to line up and all get behind something all at the same time. But that doesn't mean you have to treat people, differently than how you like to be treated.
Exactly. You could still be agreeable with that too. You could still be successful with views not aligning. You could still be professional and not say you're a scammer or you dumped on my head or you did this to me. You could still be mature about it.
Yeah, 100%. A lot of times now too, I'm pretty opinionated. Maddie, my wife would tell you that I think I'm always right. So, and I probably do think I'm always right. But I know that I'm not, and so I picked up this methodology that and it might have come from like 10x or from Tesla or one of these other big companies. I don't remember where I picked it up from, but this whole idea that when like you present an idea to me, and if my immediate response is hell no, no way, you're wrong, I try to stop myself, and go, wait a minute. If I have those feelings, those strong feelings, why don't I turn this inside out and just ask why not? Why not? And I've had a hell of a lot more success asking why not than saying no. And just kind of going through that process. So even if it's in my own head, to like, so why not this? This guy said something, this lady said something completely opposite of what I think. Why not? Why isn't that true? Why can't it be true? And I try to take it on the other way, you know.
Helps with analysis of doing research with tokens and watching people on streams. Can I trust this person? Things like that. Or should I make the right choice of buying this or doing that or not doing that? Or, things like that.
Yeah, hundred
That's
percent. And yeah. Well, I think a lot of us get blinded. Like I'm a big hex proponent. You know that I talk about it all the time. And even being that strongly influenced and feeling strongly about hex, right? I'm getting bombarded continuously with negativity, right? And all the different channels, different chats, even sometimes on streams like this and whatnot. And sometimes that stuff kind of like I don't know, maybe like it kind of dazzles me. It gets in the way of reality for me, anyways. Because like all of a sudden, because of how I'm feeling about stuff, I might be thinking a certain way. But I'll use the why not a lot with X. You know,
I co-
people say a lot
I
of stuff.
kind of have a I kind of have a version of that. Why not? I always like when I get told something or I feel a little bit like maybe too judgy or just like you say no that one part like no right off the bat. um like you're judging that decision and you just don't want to block it out or whatever. Best way I can explain where I'm coming from. I just ask myself, where could I be wrong? Or am I wrong? Just in that moment. Just to see where I can learn from that moment. It just helps me try to stay more open-minded instead of closed-minded to where I'm in this tunnel and this is all there is. This is the only carrot in front of my kind of thing.
Yeah, I can see that. You know, listen, I've been super successful in my career, in my life, in many ways, right? But I got to tell you that I've always had more success when I work with other people, and that was a really humbling kind of experience, right? Because you know, I like to think, yeah, I'm going to be or what I would have been the entrepreneur, right? The guy. But we find out, well, listen, again, my experience, I'm sure there's somebody say something different out here, but my experience has been working with a team of people with different ways of looking at things really helped, you know, to build whatever business I was in.
Great ideas come from, what is it? Cooperation within a team, you know?
Yeah, I think so too. Well, let's redirect back to Yep, because we were just talking about this. I kind of went off a tangent with you on this, but I think it's related to the concept you were describing. You know, about you know, use the word agreeable, but being more accepting, perhaps, and us all working together. So you have this token now, right? And you're bootstrapping it yourself, kind of grassroots. You got some help now from Randy with help, and you start getting into LP. What were some of the things? What did you learn as you went through the whole LP process? Because I imagine that's a story.
LP process was challenging because at first, when I did LP on other exchanges or whatnot, or just on Pulsec, sometimes like I got worried about my impermanent loss and this and that. And I'm like, no, you got to get that out of your head. And what really struck me was it didn't matter the amounts of LP. It mattered with like the difference in the slippages in the amount of LP that like created the impermanent loss between the two, like the 50-50 on each side. And I've been watching that, and it seems like the bots like to create that impermanent loss and then they're gone for a while. But then when that impermanent loss goes away, like when the market's pumping or dumping real quick, you get that impermanent loss real quick. But when it starts leveling out, like you end up with more coins kind of like on both sides, like decimally wise, at least as far as I've noticed it. Maybe I haven't been looking at it the right way, but I've always noticed when it starts leveling off and the volume drops, especially with my token, like there wasn't a lot of volume, so I noticed like the permanent loss numbers on each side would stay level more, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you can get to, I mean, all situations are possible, right? Without meaning, you can go far in one direction or the other direction. But yeah, if you stay in some sort of a range and you just kind of go back and forth within that range, you'll see those numbers move up and down. You know, you mentioned the bots. It's kind of funny. That was one of the experiences I had. Like I used to complain and bitch about the, you know, about the bots, the R bots. Like, who are these sons of bitches that are doing this to these tokens? You know, how are they screwing me up? Because I see them come in immediately and do different things. And then I realized nobody sent the bots after me. I called them. And he said, well, what do you mean you called them? Well, there's a lot of imperfections in crypto and DeFi, and things are getting better all the time. Things are becoming more efficient. There's better tools and these DEX aggregators and everything. But I thought initially it was like a really smart idea to put a little bag over here of Hexfire and put it against DAI, and put a little bag over here and put it against Hex, and put another bag over here and put it against Pulsex, right? Because I was new. I didn't know, right? I didn't know Now, there's nothing like inherently wrong with that, but the difference between doing that and doing simply Pulse was that if I had simply done Pulse, it's very clean, right? Because what are most people transacting? Mostly Pulse, right? It's the dominant asset. So you'd get back and forth and be very clean. The bots come in because what I did is I created these. Now, I wouldn't call them illiquid pairs, but they're fairly illiquid because they're small anyways. But more like pairs that nobody's going to trade. Like just because I put up a position Hexfire doesn't mean anybody's ever swapping Hexfire for Hex or Hex for Hexfire. So as soon as somebody traded against, like in your case, like somebody trades against Yep and Nope, they'll say that they're doing that, right? Mm-hmm. But you have this other obscure pool out here nobody trades against. The only way those get corrected is the bots have to come in, and that's what I mean about I created the situation with the bots, because if that doesn't get cleaned up, they're going to be at a kind of like a miss ratio, and so all the complaint I was doing about the bots, I really had myself to blame probably, or some other people because of LP.
I really noticed it when I paired. I got the airdrop from no permission with Solid X, and that's when I really noticed it. Like, that's where most of my liquidity was then. Yeah, I had some on Pulse. Yeah, I had some on Nope. And I had a few smaller pairs like on 9-inch and HOA at the time. But like they weren't really doing much. Yeah, there was a little bit of action back and forth, but not much at all. But I've noticed my wrap Pulse pools would fill up with Pulse just to get to that Solid X and go through my token, or the other way. And then I looked at it and I'm like, maybe I should like keep the liquidity where it's at with the Pulse and thicken up the Solid X Yep. And it will make it harder for both sides, or it'll make it, now it's going to make it go through the wrap Pulse to Solid X to Hex, or to Yep, I meant. And it'll run through that pair, creating volume on mine and Solid X, as well as the Pulse pair. Just, if you're even using DAI, because it's going to go automatically to that wrap Pulse pair, then to Solid X. This is with bigger money or whatever, and then to Yep. But you can buy with Nope to Yep directly. It's still going to route through that wrap Pulse no matter what. And I tried this with like small buys, and I'm just like, okay, then I tracked it down on chain, and I'm looking like, okay, so I went through this pool, and this pool, and then you realize what pools it routes through, and you're like, so it's cutting out half my pools.
Yeah. Well, that's the point I was getting at. Well, now, what protocol were you using when you were looking at those routes? Were you using like Pitius?
I was using Pitius mainly for the aggregation. I had pools on 9mm, 9-inch, and a little bit on Pulsechain. I wasn't really doing a lot on Pulsechain right at the beginning because I was just learning. But then I decided recently to move most of my LP to 9-inch, create it thicker because I was too spread out, too thin, and nobody could really get in with lower slippage. And I'm like, that probably makes more sense.
Yeah.
And I have plans on going on Pulsex in the future more and thicken that up. You recommended the Pulsex pair, putting it over there, and that's actually done more volume than expected.
Nice.
So it's interesting.
Yeah, well, I think I think Pulsex is the go, man. I think that's the place to have the main liquidity, but it's challenging, and because that we won't get into all the details, but there's lots of different things we've observed. Like for instance, just like from a layman's point of view, for people coming in watching this video, I was pretty naive in my thinking that. Of course, if there's an aggregator, it's going to be able to figure this stuff out and make it really clean, right? And it didn't turn out that way. And that's why I say there's a lot of work still to be done, improvements to be done. Because I'll give you, for instance, in the Fire realm, got a very strong LP between Fire and Axis, like hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? And the reason for that is because when the tokens were created, I had a lot of units of both, right? I bought a lot of Axis off the market, and I put it up against the fire token. But if you go to Pidius up until recently, and I had to work with them directly on this, up until recently, it would just skip the pool. And it would be quoting like 20% slippage, 30% slippage. But if I went over to Pulsex and I put it in by hand, it was like 6%. The numbers were significantly different, is what I'm getting at. And so, pro tip, not for people who do market making per se right at the moment, but if you were looking to go into something and you feel like the slippage is a little high, shop around, because if you go to Pulsex, you'll find out where the primary pairs are and what the primary pairs are, and you might have to do 2 swaps manually, but you can get things sometimes a lot cheaper. Now, hopefully, what will happen is GoPulse will come forward with a little bit different thing. Maybe 9mm will incorporate aggregation. Pidius will improve their work. 9-inch will do something. All these things will come together and make it a lot cleaner. But as an individual person, you don't have to accept high slippage. Go look, and at least do yourself the favor and make sure that you know what it is. Now, if it's $5, I get it. People probably not worrying about it, but
that's half the reason why I created a tab on my website. It's basically just an API window. You could connect directly to their site, but it's through mine, and it's got 9mm on one side, Pidius in the center, and then 9-inch on the other side, and you can see the slippages and everything. And that's what mainly taught me. And then when I'm looking on DBank at my coins and this and that, I'm looking at it like not instantly, like every time and refreshing, but because it doesn't really load that great at all. But then I'm going to like the analytics sites on 9mm or 9-inch and this and that, and it's just all working together. And I'm like, it's not routing through that pool. It's not routing through that pool. So it's like I cancel stuff out.
Yeah, 100%.
It really helped me out, just like visualizing it.
So we got a little introduction out there about you and about the token and what you're thinking about, and a little bit of history now about how you put this together. So what's the future of Yep? What are you thinking? Not price predictions, but what do you see your future moves to be with the Yep token? What do you want people to know if they come watch this? They spent the time to watch this video.
Well, for one, after the solid index launched, it like kind of changed the whole dynamic of this thing. I was making memes. I was being like the Tang Gang and making memes, trying to, make agreeable memes and try to get this thing out there. I have some memes out there. Maybe they're controversial, but other than that, solid index launched because I was mainly paired to Nope, and then I got paired to solid index, and then you guys announced the solid index on Fux, and then it's going to go over to Fux, and I was just like, whoa. Because Randy also paired some Yep to solid index too and put it on 9mm right after launch. And that was like huge for me. And I'm like, I got to rethink this whole thing. And then agreeable index came to mind. I can agree with this index and just move with what I agree with and my views, because might as well move with the market in the way no permissions is going anyways. And liquidity got thicker, and all of a sudden my chart started looking like solid X. So I recently thickened the liquidity with Axis and Fire with Yep, and the volumes on them are pretty low. Nobody's really trading on them, but they are newer. So I kind of like made Yep token like the 5th token of the 4. Like basically what what's his name? Fasted Abdul. When you guys put all your tokens into the Fux pool, it's going to create that Fux pool token, and you can trade that token. But Yep token's kind of already like that at the moment, anyways. even before I paired it with Axis and Fire. So I'm like, I might as well pair with all four and call it the agreeable index.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think you're going to see. I think what you're describing, right, is Hart's law, and how how the profile for LP will make things work together. Like, I can't take credit for how well the Xfire token itself had done, particularly early on. Because same type of thing. I connected it pretty directly with Axis, a live token, and so because the liquidity was thick, it just moved. It did what Axis did. And so for a long time on the chart, whatever the Axis token did, the Fire token did.
I noticed that I was thicker on Pulse there for a while than Nope, and Pulse was just dragging me down because I launched at a bad spot. But
yeah. I mean, it goes both ways. It can help you, it can drag you down. But ultimately, I think that's probably another thing that I've learned is keeping that liquidity thick with the gas token to some extent, anyways. Yeah.
For the future of Yep token, though, I have probably been working on something like I'm thinking like maybe making a Yep Man kind of thing, maybe kind of like truly turn it into a meme, but I don't know if I'm going to do that or not. That's kind of like an idea in the making. It could, but I don't know. It's more of a, I guess, positive motivational coin.
Sure.
I don't know. There's two different ways I can go about that.
Yeah, we could be doing the Yep Man NFTs, and you could move on to Yep Man comics, and who knows what the future could hold, right?
And I also saw like the meme multiple. I kind of talked to you about it. I wanted like this interface, just like a swap kind of like interface, like on a DEX, but you could paste any address into there, and it just came up with something, But then I also thought about like maybe you could token gate that after a while and only give so many pairs out, and then you'd have to collect all the data and things. That's kind of something you do.
Yeah,
and
I'm deep into that data for sure.
Yeah. So I kind of thought of that too. Those are the two kind of ideas I'm working with for the future. But at this moment, it's just hard enough keeping up with you guys.
Oh, believe me, I'm having a hard time keeping up too with everything that's happening for sure.
Especially with this, what's it called? The Flex something that launched today?
Oh, yeah. Now, I have to tell you, I knew a little bit about that in advance, not enough to do anything with it or anything that nature. I just knew that somebody was working on something like that. Pretty interesting that it came out. And you're referring to the new ability on Power City to borrow against Hex. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I don't have any of the details about it. So, I mean, as far as how it works and all that, but pretty interesting, right? I mean, because what we're seeing here on Pulsechain is more and more innovation of things we didn't see previously on Ethereum. And I don't know. I, for one, believe that continues to add value overall, even if it's incremental, Now, of course, anybody listening, if you're going to go check out this new stuff, go do your own research, make sure it's for you. Remember, borrowing on loans and etc. all have their own risks, So be careful about that stuff. But otherwise, just from like a high level point of view, pretty cool.
I thought it was kind of cool. Like, it just gives Hex another utility. Like, so you can stake your Hex, take your yield, and put it in that, and then restake your Hex on hex.com, or hex.win, whatever it is. And just do that and keep your principal on hex.win, and then just borrow from your yield if you want. And then it relieves dump pressure, everything. And then Hex got a stable coin. We'll see where it goes, though. That's as much as I've kind of like wrapped my head around. So.
Yeah, sure. Well, from my perspective, right, there's only one thing to do with Hex, and that was to mine it, stake it. There were really three things to do with it: be liquid, LP it, or do that. But now I can farm it, I can stake it, I can, I can borrow against it, I can do all this stuff. Now personally, only my personal opinion, I still favor mining. But I just recognize what you just said is true. There's a lot more you can do now, which didn't exist before.
Yeah, and I appreciate just having my T-shares. I stake them out long and hard. So, because I didn't have much at the beginning, anyways, because I bought at those prices, but I have DCA'd in. So,
Very good. Yeah, I'm playing the contrarian game myself too. I'm still staking, still mining.
And that's half the reason why I don't have a pair with Hex. Otherwise, I would have created one.
Yeah, because you don't have the Hex to do it. Yeah, yeah, that. I get that. I get that as well. I can definitely feel you there.
And I'm kind of glad I haven't, to be honest. But it would have been a good way to DCA, I guess.
Yeah, it can be. It can be. It takes time depending on what's happening with the market. We DCA with that as well. It's great if your token's going up against it because you just accumulate more of that. But of course, you lose your token, whatever token is you're putting against it, to the impermanent loss.
I did learn something about Randy's token Nope, though, because he put too much Nope on the market with the airdrops and everything like that. And I almost made that mistake too, because he has a lot on the market. And I started buying back my token because I airdropped it to 2 communities. 60% of it was like on the market, like within the first couple weeks. And as it was moving down, I just started buying it all back on V3.
Yeah.
And I risked all my pulse to do that. And I was offside for a while. Probably would have never came back, but
yeah, that's a pretty big commitment. Yeah. Yeah. I can understand that too. That happened when Hexfire launched. The idea behind it was more of a novelty type of thing than anything else. I had no idea that people would buy it, right? So it wasn't. I didn't market it. I wasn't pushing it hard. I put it up. Yeah, I told you what I did with the LP. I did an airdrop. I launched in July, but I had the Patreon up and running, and so in October I did an airdrop, to the Patreon users who wanted it and gave it away. But otherwise, things were pretty chill, And initially, I think at one point I had 50% of it on the in the LP pools, the total supply because I was experimenting with LP and how it worked and how to do it. So I get you totally. And then I woke up one day and realized, oh shoot, somebody bought a lot of it. And so then it was months and months of maintaining LP and doing some sort of buybacks to kind of like equalize that back out, because there's no way to get it back off the market for the most part unless you buy it back, right?
Yeah, that's what I've just started like playing with now, is starting to buy back and adding to my LP pools through just buying it up. And I see that works more than just getting the token and adding it to LP. Like there's 2 different ways you can do it. You can add the LP together and put it in the pool, or if you already have the 2 tokens, or you could have that 1 token and just buy it up and put it in the pool to equalize your impermanent loss or your LP too. I just started experiencing that. That's what intrigues me more at this point. I'm like, all right, so I need more in my wallet just in case this happens. Like somebody comes in and buys my token up or dumps it down. I need to maintain those certain levels on the chart too. So, and that's where the games come in.
Yeah. Well, I'm incredibly thankful for for the solid index and the support those guys have shown. Hexfire, I imagine you feel the same way about Randy, without putting words in your mouth, and the support there.
Oh, I'm extremely grateful. Like without that, I probably would have wrecked myself. Like,
And here we are in the prelude to the main event. Before we see the real pumpage that might occur through some sort of a cycle top.
And another reason why I like doing this is because I'm not gonna wait around and wait for Richard to pump my bags. I think if I was a founder of a chain, I would want to see other people adopting it just as well as you would want. Because why would I want to pump my bags just for people to dump it and just walk away? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. We've seen lots of experiments go awry that way too with people, right? Because, again, if coming at it uninitiated, you kind of think like, well, no, the market's not going to do that to you, but the market does that to you. And so it will take as much away from you as we're willing to put up.
Yeah.
And the quality of the holders matters, the people holding the token and the people that part of the communities, it matters. You look at, and you can see pretty stark differences between the different tokens out there anyways, but, like for instance, you mentioned, we were talking about Nope. Nope holds up really, really well to volatility. And part of that is it has been spread out to many, many people. And those people have reasonable unit size as compared to, like how much they have as compared to other people. They have reasonable unit size. And they also mostly took it to LP. And so what it creates is this very thick web of connections to all sorts of pairs that really gives buoyancy to the token, in my opinion. I know other people looked at it, said some similar stuff. So yeah,
I've definitely noticed it stabilizes. It moves a little bit later. It moves a little bit less than the rest because there's more on the market, which is kind of a good thing in a sense.
Yeah, and then that's
it is because LP is thicker with the more people. And I also thought, like, with you guys announcing the solid index, it's like, what if everybody started putting it in LP and nobody's trading the tokens and just earning the yield and this and that? It's like, well, there goes your volume for one. And that's just like a dynamic maybe I gotta like think through more. But I know people will always trade it in and out. People are always going to take it out of the pools, in the pools, sell it, whatever. But like a certain percentage of that will probably go up as the index is there, right?
Yeah.
So
and I mean it's you look at you look at how fast that's turning. The solid X, just how much volume it's doing. I mean, on a low day, a little bit over $1 million a day in volume. But I think it's been hitting pretty regularly 2 million a day. 1.8 million a day. That's some pretty incredible volume.
Oh yeah,
so it's just a machine for
sure. We'll see what happens. Like,
yeah, well, we're gonna see.
It will dampen.
Yeah, we got nothing better to do than watch, right?
People adopt it.
Yeah. Well, I think those, like you said, the Fox, P-Hawks, the two P-Hawks, right? And we see that come along. What does that start looking like? And people trying to pair them together at different ratios. It'll be very interesting to see. I'll be watching for sure. So Bright Light. Anything else you want to say before we wrap up? And we tell people where they can find you. Your website and stuff. You can chat.
You can visit my website, yeponpulse.com. I can type it in real quick.
Yeah, you want to throw it out there. People can investigate it first. But.
I didn't spell it right. Hold on.
I got the fat myself. I use the fat pen approach.
All right there. And I'm on Twitter at RedRay57. You can guess my name. Kind of out there anyways. And there is a Telegram. Find mainly everything else on yeponpulse.com. I do have a DBank account too, so that address is fully doxed. So yeah, I try to be as transparent as possible. So
very cool, man.
I think people will appreciate that. I know I do.
I think so too. All right, my friend. Well, hey, thanks very much for taking the time with me and kind of going over this, sharing with our viewers what's going on. I think we need more positivity for sure.
Thank you for the invite.
Oh, yeah, man. It's, I'm just sorry it took me so long to get there. But here we are.
Stay agreeable, stay rebel.
Stay agreeable. Yeah. I usually just say stay crispy. All right, my friend. Let's go ahead and wrap it up, and I'll close it out with the with Markable's outro. I love that outro. And thanks everybody for joining in. Come check out hexfire.io when you get a chance. Check out Yep on Pulsechain, and of course you can find us on X and in the chats. And with that, we're out.